All right, someone who had just seen my shop video said that they would like to see a toolbox review. And so I decided I'm not gonna tidy or organize or clean the toolbox at all. I haven't gone through it. I've not changed anything, and that's really just my desire to be authentic. And I don't know if there's any skeletons in the closet in there that I'll be embarrassed about, but I don't wanna like put polish on everything and then make people feel totally inadequate and embarrassed about their shops because they've only seen this fake polished version of mine. So I just got back from a backpacking trip overnighter today, and this is exactly what the toolbox looks like right now. So I'll take you through it. First off, about the box, I always wanted to have a snap-on box, never had one. I bought this for $675 on Craigslist, and I sold my existing non-snap-on toolboxes for like $550. So it was a $125 delta for me. I did a little bit. I had to redo these pieces, this upper black and this lower black piece. My lovely father and sister made this for me. They run a small sign shop in Michigan. And so this is textured. They did this on a braille machine and they matched it because it was missing. And I did not turn this into some beauty box. So you can see a little bit of touch-up paint where I basically just got rid of just the hideous stuff. I cleaned up the wheels and I had to clean up all the guides. I basically made a big PVC tube and put gasoline in and dipped them because it was filthy. The guy was a body shop guy and the box was just totally filthy. All right, on the outside of the box, I got a couple magnetic things. This is actually a really cool thing, magnetic finger. You slip that on and then you can hold a bolt in place while you use your other fingers to tighten it. My wife bought me that. On the other side, let's see, some keys, flashlight, and actually some random stickers. I made the top. I had carpet up here for a while. That was awful. I had the original rubber mat that was up here. That was awful. This is just a nasty piece of MDF. And I put this little lip on the back so stuff doesn't roll off the back because stuff always rolled off the back. Okay, that's the boring stuff. Now, let me take you through the box. So one thing you need to know about me is that mixed with my desire for quality is also this sort of frugal resourcefulness. And so there's a few things in here that aren't elegant, aren't interesting, but I built them from scrap wood and they did the job. And for me, that was enough. And the first drawer is an example of that. Let me zoom out. Okay. So basically, the reason the top drawer has this stuff in it is because I have children and I wanted things that could hurt them furthest away from them. So this is kind of like the cutting and abrading drawer. And so this is basically all like the punches. This isn't very good the way this is working. This is basically, let me just do this. So this is basically the punches and the chisels and things that are for abrading. This is a bunch of different cutting stuff. I mean, we have basically like camping and hiking stuff in here too. Carving knives, scrapers for fine woodworking, cutters for pipes, things like that. I used to work at a glass shop. That's a glass cutter. This is kind of your more run-of-the-mill stuff. Cutting, scraping, all of that. And then files. So this divider is super chintzy. I mean, it's really nasty plywood. I literally hot glued it because I was really in a rush. And sometimes I take the time to make really ornate tool holders, and sometimes I just can't be bothered. Just give you one ridiculous example for this hammer. So like, I don't know, it probably took me an hour, just so that the hammer lays perfectly. But I balance between doing something like that, which is sort of not worth my time, to doing this really hokey job. Anyway, let's see. Anything special to show here? I would say for like the woodworkers or handymen out there, this tool by Shinto is really awesome. Japanese company, they basically rivet together a bunch of hacksaw blades. And this tool works like a rasp, kind of like that, but the finish is way better, the control is way better. Really, really awesome tool. All right, next one is sort of screwing and prying. So I had a friend who worked for the Hillman Group, which is the company that supplies Ace Hardware with all their nuts and bolts, and he gave me a bunch of these trays, and I just hot glued them together to keep things organized. Another example of just, run what you brung. So this is like cell phone related repair stuff. I've changed a bunch of batteries. This is my old set of screwdrivers that I had when I was a kid that I sometimes modify or bend or break or whatever. Carburetor adjustment tools and a set of screwdrivers that are stainless steel that my wife got me. Miscellaneous nut drivers. These are all like prying type tools. I'm gonna grab a couple special tools to show you that are actually really awesome, but I'll do that in a moment. More interior plastic bone tool, trim tool type of stuff. Lots of hooks and picks and things like that. These I got at a estate sale, more picks and hooks, some miscellaneous stuff. My wife bought me these. These are like for the super nerd. These are like micro Q-tips for cleaning the most nerdy of all things. And then this is kind of what I use for small engines, brushes, and then there's some mirrors and pickup tools in there. Yeah, over here, a variety of prying stuff. And I think there's probably 3 tools in here that you may not know about that are really worth their weight in gold that I'll show real quick. The first one is this tool. If you're an automotive mechanic and you don't have one of these, buy one. I'll buy you one. It is a super thin prying tool, and they use these in the aviation industry. Basically, every aviation mechanic has one of these. I will put a link in the description because I don't have it ready to show you on the computer of where you can get these. They're hard to find just because you don't know what they're called, but they're not that expensive. I think they're like 15 bucks a piece. This tool is incredible. Of course, you can overuse it, but it'll help you disassemble things like you wouldn't believe. Absolutely amazing. In the same category, this thing is called a chip lifter. This is actually a little teeny tiny pry bar, essentially, which is used for lifting up microchips on PCB boards, but it is really handy for the same type of thing you'd use this for, just on the micro scale. Super handy. And then the last thing, I know that there are other companies that make this now. Back then it was just Snap-on. This is an indexable pry bar. So pry bar, push this button, and you can move this head. And this thing is amazing. I have a bigger one too. If that even vaguely piques your interest in terms of prying, buy one. You won't regret it. All right, next one is basically 1/4 inch and 3/8 socket drawer. So you may have already seen some of this stuff. So basically over here, I got like inverted Torx, spline, 6-sided tamper-proof Allen, star, 5-point star, tamper-proof, 6-point spline, normal Torx, tamper-proof Torx, some miscellaneous stuff. One thing that's a real game changer is locking extensions. So as a mechanic, sometimes you stick a socket swivel extension assembly deep into an engine, and then as you're pulling it out, you lose everything off the end. These things are really awesome. These are from Matco. I think I have 3 of them. Long Allen balls. These are horrifically expensive. This is like almost $300. I regret buying them, but every once in a while they're super handy. These are Matco socketed Allens. Yeah, what should I say about those? And then basically 1/4 inch stuff. I just have Craftsman 1/4 inch drive stuff. I think this is a good example where you just don't need to get the Snap-on ratchets maybe, but don't get the Snap-on sockets. All right, and then this is all my 3/8 stuff. I only have a little bit of chrome. I don't use chrome very often. I have standard medium length Snap-on, and then I have short, medium, and long Snap-on. I did not buy Snap-on swivel sockets. They're just too dang expensive, and I just don't use them enough. So I got those off a tool truck. I don't even know that brand. And then I have like all the little adapters that sometimes make life easier. A single extension, a single wobble extension, a single knurled extension, adapter, impact adapter, single, and then a couple swivels. And then same thing over here for the 1/4 inch stuff. This is actually something I wish I had done earlier. Basically socketed Phillips or socketed slotted. Sorry, I got out of frame there. Sometimes you come across a fastener in the automotive world or otherwise that you just need a lot of torque for, and you just can't get it with a standard screwdriver. And then these are all the different things that go into an impact gun that allow you to put 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and all of there on there. All right, the rest you probably have figured out. These are for grabbing broken studs. Basically, as you turn this, those 3 cogs in there grip a smooth shaft or a damaged shaft. And then this is just some miscellaneous 1/2 inch stuff. I don't think there's any major interest in that. Okay, drawer number 4 is all about drilling, basically. So this is my tap and die set that I had from when I was a mechanic. This is something that more homeowners would enjoy having, but I think the cost and the size is just intimidating for them. Yeah, so I have a bunch of miscellaneous stuff I got when I bought my lathe from the guy who had made pens before. These are a super handy thing if you need to drill a centered hole in a hinge. These are like self-centering hinge drill bits, very cool. This is essentially miscellaneous, some unibits, some countersinks, a bunch of different things like that. Also kind of miscellaneous. This is a circle cutter, super useful if you have a drill press. This guy I bought at Ace Hardware for like 10 bucks on sale around Christmas. Absolutely super useful. I always thought they were gimmicky, but they're not. This you may have seen in another video. If you don't have a drill press, consider buying one of these. You can basically clamp this down to something and then it will guide your drill so that you drill a perfect 90 degree. These are bits like this. I'm not going to open them and show you. These are basically drill bits with a hex shank, so you can use them like in a impact drive or something like that. These are just kind of miscellaneous bit kits that I've used and abused over the years. This is my main set of drill bits that I've had almost 20 years. This is something super helpful. These are left-handed drill bits and extractors. Oftentimes just drilling a bolt out left hand will pull the bolt out of the hole. Those are super useful. A couple other miscellaneous things. Long drill bits can be super handy depending on the application. And I just want to say too, a lot of this stuff I bought at estate sales for like literally pennies on the dollar. So some of it's kind of random. Like I think I got this at an estate sale for 50 cents. So estate sales are a great choice. Go to estatesales.net or download their app and then just Google or just search the records, search the sales for the word tools and take a look to see if the guy looked like he was a machinist or a mechanic or a woodworker or something, and then arrive about an hour before they close. Everything's 50% off and they'll haggle like crazy. You can just get amazing deals. Okay, so this is kind of like the 1/2 inch drive and wrench drawer. So at the back I got deep 1/2 inch for standard and metric, the ratchets you may have seen in a recently published video, an assortment of wrenches. I actually don't have that big of a collection of wrenches compared to some mechanics. These are metric, swivel, super cheap standard non-swivel, super cheap metric non-swivel, flare wrenches for brake lines and things like that, shorty metric swivels or flexible, whatever you want to call them. These are gear wrench. And then I have some of these T-handle torques. This is a kit of very thin wrenches, like when you're working on a bicycle. Some relatively cheap Craftsman mini wrenches. A couple of adjustables. I will say the best adjustable wrench out there that I've ever found is from Bacho. They're from Sweden. I know it just looks like an adjustable wrench, but I'm telling you, the way this thing's manufactured, you can get on fasteners so much better than the standard cheapy Crescent, Craftsman, whatever. Bacho. You can find them on Amazon. This is something that seems to not be that well known. It's used a lot in aviation, and it's used a lot, I want to say like in motocross is maybe where I discovered it with motorcycles, but it's basically a set of pliers that you use to run safety wire. And this is hard to do with one hand. Let me throw it in the tripod. But basically, as you pull this, these pliers spin very fast. And so you can twist up wire very fast for a wide variety of applications. Just look up safety wire pliers and read or watch some videos about it. Crow's feet, I don't have many, but when you need them, you need them. They're incredible. And then a couple other special adapters for harmonic dampeners and things like that. All right, now we're getting into the less organized stuff. So I made this nice plier rack, but I don't always use it. So these are all my pliers, along with the pliers here and the pliers here. These are the ones I use most. I think all of those are Knipex. That's stuff I just use all the time. These are the more dainty stuff I use for electronics. So I guess I'll go over that really quick. Automatic strippers. You don't have to get them from Knipex, but they are awesome. Especially if you're anal and you hate when you lose 1 or 2 copper strands. This is the older one I bought years and years ago. It works fine, but you lose strands. This is a great brand that I discovered. They're Japanese. They are called, where are they at? There we go. Tsunda, whatever. They're awesome. Very reasonably priced, high quality, not as high as Knipex, but they're like way cheaper. And I bought a bunch of these little things for electronics and soldering and real dainty work. Anyway, this box, in general, this box used to be quite a bit more full. Over the last 2 years, my wife and I have felt like we were getting ready to make a move to go be missionaries overseas, and we began to decontent all of our possessions and try to get rid of stuff that we thought we weren't going to need. And in the meantime, my sister is getting ready to buy a house, and so I boxed up like 50 tools that every homeowner should know, and I shipped them to her. And so this box used to be more full, and when we get to drawers like this, which are barely full at all, that's part of the reason why. But yeah, so I have some stuff in here from Knipex and some stuff in here from Wiss, some non-branded stuff, some Craftsman stuff. I'm doubtful that people want to see me go through every single pair of pliers I have. Maybe I'll just point out these are really cool. These are basically just normal slip joint pliers, but they have very hard plastic. I think it's Delrin jaws, and those are really great. The other ones that are really great are these. These are Napa brand of all things, but these are double jointed, and so you can sneak into places and still get a pretty good opening compared with something like this, where in order to get a big opening, you just really have to open the handles, and sometimes you don't have the space for that. These, if you've never seen, are a specialty item, really great. These are called hose clamp pliers, remote hose clamp pliers. So basically these two jaws will grip down on the sort of clamp that you have holding your radiator hose on when you squeeze this. And it can allow you to loosen those clamps in really, really difficult to reach places. All right, I don't know that there's anything else in here which is super exciting and worth sharing, but you can always post a question if you have one. All right, this is something of a miscellaneous drawer, to be honest. As you can see, so I have some straps in here for woodworking, letter and number sets, some weird staple related stuff, a little computer borescope, rivet gun, plastic. If you don't have a plastic welder, buy one. They're so useful. There's like this whole category of things that break that you basically have to throw away, and with a plastic welder you can fix a lot of that stuff. This is specifically for serpentine belts. This is a plane my dad gave me for Christmas. This is also really cool. My wife bought me this. You wouldn't think a brand like iFixit was making anything of high quality, but honestly, this is really surprisingly high quality in my estimation. It's not a 1/4 inch drive. I haven't measured it. Maybe it's an 1/8 inch, but they have all these little bits. They're really good for like working on cell phones or electronics or even slightly bigger stuff. Yeah, this brand, iFixit, if you see it, it's a lot higher quality than you or I would have thought. All right, and then the last one, also kind of disorganized. I just bought a bunch of new heat shrink, so it went right there. But in general, this is where I keep my air tools and gloves and torch, pulley pullers, a couple miscellaneous things. The thing is, I do woodworking and automotive, and so you kind of have things mixed together that categorically don't belong, but kind of miscellaneous. That's what the bottom drawer is for, right? Okay, this is shaping up to be a long video. All right, this used to be a drawer filled with stuff, and as I mentioned, I've given a bunch of stuff away and sold some stuff recently, so it's nearly empty. This is kind of my measuring drawer. So if you ever, basically whenever I take a measurement of any kind, it goes here. So you have levels and straight edges, stud finders, pressure gauges, depth finders, infrared, or excuse me, thermal camera, dial indicator. Yeah, you can see I'm not going to go through every single one. I doubt that's interesting. But basically this is anything that I take measurements with, that's where this lives. This is a little bit miscellaneous and empty, as you'll see. Sometimes this is a good example. Like this is for marking and measuring, so I would prefer it in here, but it's just too deep. It doesn't fit. So sometimes you end up with this real hodgepodge of stuff. This is a really cool tool I bought at an estate sale. You basically screw this down to the bench or mount it in the vise, and then you can take wire, like coat hanger, and use these different forms to bend and make shapes. And you end up getting a much better result than just taking a pair of pliers and trying to bend some shapes around. Yep, that's interesting. This has always, number 4 has always been kind of my miscellaneous drawer. And I don't think there's anything in there really worth talking about. If you've never seen one of these are really cool. You can see the voltage, amperage, and wattage and frequency in kilowatt hours of any appliance you're using. That can be really fun and nerdy, and it's a super safe way to learn about electricity. You just plug it into the wall and plug something into it and take a look at the readings. All right, this is a little bit miscellaneous, a couple table saw blades. I do a lot of chainsaw repair, so I have all 4 files. And then this is also all my sharpening equipment. I'm a real sharpening nerd. I used to have some super expensive, what's it called? Ohisha? I can't remember the name. Japanese water stones, but I got rid of those when I thought we were going to be moving. I'm a big fan of DMT stuff, so I have a bunch of their different sharpening tools. I also have the ones I use most often here, along with some leather and some chromium oxide. Maybe the most interesting thing in this drawer is this. I saw this in a magazine once and thought it was a complete joke. It just looked super hokey and cheesy. But then I read an article about it and bought one. So basically, this is a really ugly knife sharpener. And that little block right there is tungsten carbide. And what you may know is tungsten carbide is the hardest metal on earth and has the highest melting point. And when you want to machine something, often you use tungsten. So as an example, on these, there's little pieces of tungsten welded onto these Forstner bits. Anyway, due to recent innovation, they can now machine tungsten at a very high grade, I guess is the right word. And so the way you use this, you don't abrade away the edge of a knife, you actually carve it away like you would taking a knife and carving a stick. You actually take this and you carve away old metal material to bring a fresh edge. Now, you can't get as nice of an edge with this like you would for like a fine woodworking chisel or a hand plane. But for more, slightly more crude stuff, you would be amazed how fast you can go from dull to paper cutting sharp in literally a few seconds. So this is something I'll like take with me if I think there might be a need for sharpening. And it's a little bit quick and dirty, but not really that dirty. Just a little bit dirty compared to like diamond stones or something like that. All right, kind of boring. Some hammers, mallets. I made that one of a wide variety. And then this is kind of like my small engine repair drawer. So I have some extra air filters, selection of carbs that have come off machines that are probably still good, but the machine was condemned, some gasket material, fuel line, vacuum pressure gauge, along with a variety of adapter plates. This box you may have seen before. This is where I keep kind of the most commonly used pieces for small engine repair. And then underneath that, I have all these different things that goes in a drill or drill press for cleaning and polishing. And then down there is a granite plate for flattening things like hand planes or whenever you need an extremely flat surface. I bought that when I was really into hand planes, and I owned almost 20 of them, and they were all shaving sharp, and that was really important to me. And for reasons I discussed in another video, I don't do that much fine woodworking anymore. I'm just being a dad, and they don't care if it's dovetails or drywall screws. So I haven't gotten out of it, but I've certainly gotten away from it. Oh, now you saw my ugly Crocs. All right, so Jeff, or sorry, not Jeff, it was someone else, I can't remember the name. So that's my toolbox and what's in it. Keep in mind, I started life as a mechanic and then became a homeowner and then did woodworking. And so it's kind of a wide variety in there. A mechanic would look at this and say, why does he have all that stuff? A woodworker would say, why do you need all that stuff? So it's kind of a hodgepodge, but I don't know how interesting that was to everybody. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. If it wasn't, let me know by giving me a thumbs down, and go check out a guy who has a channel called The Essential Craftsman. He's probably in his 60s, Scott Wadsworth, super interesting guy in general, but has a lot to say about tools. And he's also in several different industries, although not automotive. He's more into carpentry and welding and blacksmithing and stuff like that. But he's always got a lot of really interesting things to say, and I bet you'll enjoy his channel. All right, folks, take care.